Here's we've got the 1.19.4 pre-release one, so there's no new features. Yeah, considering it's a pre-release, there's nothing new, nothing fancy going on. So yeah, that's something. But we'll get into the changes because it is obviously just changes. So you got the enchantment glint has been made more visible for items, which also means that there is a new texture pack, not new texture pack, but they've added another texture thing. So the one for also I'm sorry, my browser wanted to open, so I hope this stream is okay. But basically, you can see here that there's a new. I don't know if I included it. The enchantment glint has two separate texture files, just so that one's for the items and one's for not, which makes the items more visible. So it means that this book now, like I said, I think last time or the time before, I think it was the time before, was that the book looks weird because I'm not used to seeing it without an enchantment glint on. So we can actually go into here and we can go video settings, glint strength off, and that looks weird. Like that's a red, not a pink, not a purple, right? And so it looked closer to that. It was probably more along the lines of, I don't know if I can find the right thing. It was more along the lines of probably that or something. Maybe a bit more than that, but you get the idea. So in items, it's now separate to the in hand or whatever. I want to do it. So if I turn this down to 75%, if I could get the right slider there, and that is what it should be by default, is 75%, which is also another change. So change the default value of glint strength, so it's now been reduced to 75%. I think it was on 100% before. So nice. We don't want it to be too obstructive. Because here it's a little bit more subtle on your hand than in the thing. Oh damn, yeah, I meant to do a whole thing about. I just if I set it to 119.4, because you know what, I'm being so clever here, and you can see that it's what. And you can see here that it's now 1.19.4 technically, because this is pre-release 1, which, yes, we are getting another pre-release for. Oh no, we're getting a pre-release, and not for 1.20 yet. It is actually for 1.19.4. And considering this is basically all the features coming, are we getting anything new in 1.20 that's not experimental in 1.19.4 onwards? Yeah, I'm guessing this is probably going to be the last experimental update. I mean, last 1.19 sub update. What are they called? I can't remember, but you get the point. And I would assume they'd be moving on to 1.20 next, meaning that all these features probably won't be experimental anymore. That's just a guess. They may decide to release the whole of 1.20 and 1.19.5, and therefore it wouldn't be 1.20. I'm not sure why they would want to do that, but they certainly could if they really wanted to. But here I just added a little thing. It looks nice in here. You've actually got pots. You can't actually plant them in there, unfortunately, but there are pots on top, which make it look cool. There's a little bit of Z fighting there, but you're gonna get that. It looks pretty cool like that. So you've obviously got the these two new flowers. That's obviously the azalea and the cornflower, which is actually the only flower that has a flower in its name that can be planted in a plot. The only other one is obviously the torch flower now. You've got the cornflower, but you've also got the sunflower, which cannot be planted in a pot. So that's the only thing that doesn't have it anymore. But anyway, back to the changes. We've got potions no longer have an enchantment glint, so if I go into creative, we can search for potions. You can see they no longer have an enchantment glint. What is this? This is a potion of regeneration, or we can get a potion of leaping. You can see that they no longer have an enchantment glint, which looks pretty cool. I think on night vision it doesn't look so great. Again, if I go and get night vision up here, night vision just looks like slightly funny, darker coloured water. Like, it doesn't look the same. It doesn't look quite right. So it'd be cool if there was something else going on there on the night vision, but yeah, it's fine, honestly. So you can here, we can just drink this if we wanted to, and then we can get a potion of leaping, or we can get a splash potion of regeneration, or we can have night vision if we really wanted to. You know, that's just stuff we can do if we wanted. Not really that important, but it's, you know what, they no longer have an enchantment glint, which is fine. I think it's cool. It kind of, their colours show up a bit better. It's just the night vision one that's a bit like, that's a bit of a funny one. Anyway, new notification system for realms, which is fine. Added resource pack that enhanced the contrast of UI. So that's the funny one. And also the appearance of the tab bar in the or updated the appearance of the tab bar in the create new world screen. So we can actually check that out now. We can have. What I'll do is I'll just turn on this resource pack, which is called high contrast, which is just built in, basically. Is what it says. It creates this funny new high contrast mode. It doesn't actually do anything with the thing, apparently. It's just for the UI menus, like here, which is fine. I kind of thought it might do something with this, but it doesn't, so whatever, it's fine. Yeah, we can see all here, it's all funny, cool, kind of a little bit cleaner. But yeah, that's for high contrast mode, which is generally, I think, an accessibility option, really. I think you could probably enable its accessibility. Maybe monochrome, no, not monochrome logo. High contrast off. And it's the same as just enabling or disabling the texture pack. So that's, yeah, pretty cool. It's a nice new look. Some people might just prefer it in general, you know. I'm not sure. I'm a bit of 50-50. I don't know if I prefer it. I don't know if I don't. It's a bit of a weird one for me. But we can see. So they've also updated the create new world screen, which makes it look so much better. Like before, it was like, I can kind of see what they're trying to go for, but it doesn't look much better. Now they've made it look so much nicer. I'll get into that later, hopefully, if I remember. So you've updated the resource pack. It's now with 13. They're doing this a lot, I've noticed, is that they've gone from basically resource pack version 9 or something all the way up to 13. So item interact now has a vibration frequency of 2 instead of 14. New damage type bypasses cooldown, which I just assume bypasses the cooldown that any damage type might have. New entity type tag, full damage immune. I think that was possibly preventing certain things happening. I'm not sure. Like, it was certain damage types wouldn't be doing it, but anyway, full damage immune is now a new tag that certain entities have. I did not know that was certain entities didn't have full damage. Something tells me I did, something tells me I didn't. It's a weird one. But anyway, enchantment glint has now 2 separate text files. We've gone over that. There's a new execute positioned over command and just different things, which means that you can just kind of like spawn blocks on kind of the greatest block. So if I wanted to spawn a block on this block, I could use the execute over, positioned over, or whatever. I don't really know too much about that kind of thing, but pretty cool if you're into technical things. It's probably a nice little feature. I can see it going quite nicely, but nothing too huge like that. This is obviously pre-release, so they don't really want to release anything too huge. You've also got the experimental changes. Now this is just to do with the changes of the experimental features. So you've got change sniffer, spawn egg colours, recipe for decorated pot can be found in the recipe book. So that's only for the ones with the bricks. So the 4 bricks, that's the only one that shows up rather than the thing. But you know, a little help is cool. And the brush crafting recipe is now uses a feather, copper ingot and stick. That is kind of the big one. So you got obviously the sniffer spawn egg slightly changed. You can't really tell, but it's a little bit more distinguishable from something like the salmon or something, was it? What was the other, like, similarly coloured spawn eggs? Salmon, yeah, it was a salmon. You can see that there's a little bit more of a difference now between them. See, that's kind of got a more of a turquoise, I'd say, and that's more of a greeny colour. But there we go, that's cool. It's a bit more distinguishable now. That's good, really. But the big one here is, if I go back into survival, we've got here the crafting recipe for the feather, for the brush. So this is what I think we kind of assumed would happen originally. So this is kind of the recipe that you thought that makes sense. Like, this is what I saw. This is the kind of recipe you'd expect. I've seen people saying that you could, if I go into creative, that a better recipe might look something like this, basically, but I'm fine. It's better than the brush pickaxe. It now includes copper, which is nicely used for it. Makes sense. It looks like it has copper in it. You're right, you know, you can see that little sort of orangey coppery area. So they've obviously changed that now. I'm not sure why they implemented it like it's brush pickaxe in the first place, but you know what, they certainly did, and now they've changed it, and that looks pretty cool. So yeah, that's basically all there is in these snapshots. I'm not sure what, there's not really much else that I can really go over, but the main thing is I'd probably be expecting maybe an update in early March. I don't know why I still want to say March 7th, but I think that's probably just because it's I'd say pretty important date for me in general. I mean, not that important, but there's a few things going on. I've noticed just so happened to line up with March 7th, so why not add Minecraft update to that? No, but now that they're in the pre-release, we'll probably have a few more pre-releases, and then eventually a few more release candidates over the coming weeks. We haven't had any, I don't believe we've had any official release date announcement, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure. I think this update is pretty similar in size to the 1.19.3 update. I'm not sure if there's more vanilla changes or whatever, or non-experimental changes, what I mean by vanilla changes. I don't know. There's a few more commands in there or whatever, which is pretty cool. But yeah, you can see this like was the original thing from all the features from Minecraft Live. Went into 1.19.3 plus a couple little extra sort of details and changes, and then we've got all the new features, everything else coming in 1.20 that wasn't announced in Minecraft Live, coming in 1.19.4. Not actually coming at 1.19.4, but as experimental features. And then eventually, hopefully, these features should be fleshed out a little bit more, and we'll be releasing, or they'll be releasing the 1.20 update at some point. I'm not sure when, maybe June, maybe a bit sooner than that. They might be looking towards an April release date if they've managed to get all the main features. It depends how slowly they go from here. It depends if they release one news change, like next week they release, not next week, but after they release 1.9.4, they properly implement the sniffer or whatever, and if they do it like that, or if they just introduce things like all in one big update again, and then from there out it's it's bug fixes. I'm not sure how they're going to do it. It'll definitely be interesting to see, because they're definitely going for something different, and honestly it probably is much better. But you know what, that's cool, that's exciting. We can finally get you finally got the brushes that now looks different. Decorated part, that'll be useful just for first time crafting. Now that I know how it's now that I know how it's crafted, it's pretty easy to craft. But it was like the first time crafting, it's like, how do you craft a pot? What about no, it's not in here. If I get some bricks, this like, also where's my caps lock on? That's a weird one. Oh god, right, bricks, decorated pot, you can see here, and this just takes you in for the thing. Whoop. Pretty cool. You can now craft that. You know, we can do that. Oh goodness me, look at all these crafted pots we can thing, because, or undecorated crafting pots or whatever. It's like they should be called pots, but there's technically an item already in the game called a pot. So yeah, don't know what. Yeah, they're probably just going to be called crafted pots. Just they're not decorated, undecorated, decorated pots, not crafting pots, just decorated pots. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. What? Why won't it drop those items? We can pick them back up. So yeah, that's it. I think it was looking for pretty cool. I was kind of thinking 1.19.3 would be the last update, and then they released it for 1.20, but apparently not. 1.19.4 seems to be it. I can't be entirely sure, but 1.19.4, and then it'll probably be 1.20. That seems what's going. So it seems like what's going to happen. But it is pretty cool that they're releasing it slowly more and more. I think it's similarly to how they do it on the Bedrock edition, which they release betas and then they go into experimental features. So very similar now here on the Java edition, and it's pretty cool. So you get people who like actually want to play with these features but don't want to open the snapshots because they should be stable enough, right? Because when they're releasing it snapshots, they're probably unstable, they're not quite right, there's lots of bugs. But once they've got it after that, after people have tested it out, they probably get the bug fixes done. Whilst they're still experimental features and not quite ready, they are probably more stable than they would be in a snapshot, and so people can probably play with them in their worlds if they want. Wouldn't recommend it, but they can do. And that's fun, cool, exciting thing. Also, I'm pretty sure it said that we couldn't open worlds from 23W07A, yet somehow I have opened this world from 23W07A. I'm not sure how that is, but I have. Even though they said you technically can't do that, I was like, well, it looks like I can. So I'm glad that I could, because I've got this nice little world here that I like to add all the snapshot features to at the moment for 1.20 or 1.19 part 2. Basically you got the first 1.19.2 part 2. That's a funny one. It's just like they're buffing out the 1.19 update because it was small enough in itself. I mean, not that it was really that small, but you know.